Welcome to our class. Today our topics are how to manage data in Docker and 3 ways to mount data on Docker. How to manage data in Docker? By default, all files created inside a container are stored on the writable container layer. That means the data doesn't persist when container removed. A container's writable layer is tied to the Docker host box. Writing into container writable layer requires a storage driver. The storage driver reduces performance as compared to the using data volume, which write directly to the host file system. There are two types of data. One data need to persistent. The other one data is temporary data. Persistent data has two ways. One, mount data from Docker host box to container, such as when you want to test a new version of your application without build a new image. Other one, store app log from container to Docker host box. Temporary data usually for app local cache. Next topic, 3 ways to mount data on Docker. Mount type. Build mounts for persistent data. Volumes is for persistent data. TMPFS is for temporary data. Build mounts have been around since the earliest days of Docker. Build mounts have a limitation functionality compared to the volumes. When you use a build mount, if a file or directory on the host machine is mounted into container, there's two parameters can do build mounts, minor mount and minor v. In general, minor mount is more explicit and variables. The biggest difference is that minor v syntax combines all the options together in one field. Well, the minor mount syntax separates them. By the way, minor mount is able to work on single host and swarm. Minor v is only working on the single host. Minor v cannot used on the swarm. Let us draw an example. Log into our local Linux Docker box. First, create a folder. Under the folder, I create an index.html file. Content is hello, I'm from the mount type equal to bound. Mount the file to the Nginx. Nginx is HTML web server. Container run detach mode. Name is my Nginx. Port mapping host 777 port to the container 80 port. Minor rm automatically remove the container after the container stop. Minor mount. Type is bound. Source is a HTML folder. In current user login. Targeted Nginx HTML folder. Nginx is in the latest version. Check container status. It's running. Check container mount detail. Docker container inspect my Nginx. My Nginx is container name. There is a mount detail. Type is bound, source, destination, permission, read write. Its source and destination is from our command. Let me add the missing part for the README file. Next, verify the index.html file. Docker etc minor it interactive mode. Container name is my Nginx. Login point bin bshell. Able to access the file. Use curl where verified the file mount correctly. I'll try change the index file. The container doesn't have vi command, so install. Adding the two command to install VM inside the Nginx container. Change the file content. Access again. Are able to see the file changed. How about our local file? Also changed. That means inside the container we are able to change the file in the local Docker host. That will cause security issue. We can add read only when mount the file to the container. Read only means inside the container cannot change the mounted file content. Let's try. Stop the Nginx. Start. After target parameter, read only was added. Go inside the container and add the VM commands. We add the command in container level. When the container removed, the command will be gone. After we start a new container, we have to add the command again. Try changing the content in the file. Warning in there. Changing a read-only file. Cannot change it. Read-only. Cannot change the file. After I add the read-only flag, that flag protects local file. Stop container. Mount bound, the source folder or file should be exist in your local system. If not, what happened? Let's try. I try to bound HTML2 folder to the same location in the index and same flag read only. There is an error message. Source path doesn't exist. Bound mount chapter finished. Second, go to the volume. Volume have several advantages over bound mounts. Volumes are easily to back up or migrate than bound mounts. You can manage volumes using Docker CLI commands. Volumes work on both Linux and Windows systems. Volumes can be more safely shared among multiple containers. Volume drivers let you store the volumes on the remote host or cloud providers. New volumes can have their content pre-populated by a container. In addition, volumes are often better choice than persistent data in the container writable layer because the volumes doesn't increase the size of the container, and the volume's contents exist outside the container lifecycle. Do an example. Docker volume create is able to create the volume. The name is HTML content. ls list existing volume in your system. Docker volume inspect plus HTML content give you more detail. Create time, driver style, mount point. That is the physical path for the volume data. Since the path under the Docker, I have to log in as a root user. Create an index file. Add content, hello, I'm from volume. Save the file. Docker container run detach mode, interactive. You can delete that one. Docker container run detach mode. Container name, port mapping, mount. There's no type as we did before. Type equal to bound because volume is a default type for mount parameter. We don't need this mention in there. Source equal to volume name. Target same as before. Nginx latest. Inspect the container. Mount. Type is volume before it's bound. Source. The value is same as we use the Docker volume inspect. Found the destination. Readable is true. Go to container inside and access the index file. The content is hello, I'm from volume. Stop the container. In the bound mount, the source folder should be exist. There's different behavior for the volume. If we create the source is from HTML content 2, in my system, there is not volume. Name is HTML content 2. Let's try this scenario. No issue, because Docker engine will be automatically create the volume. Created. There is a detailed information. Docker volume RM is able to delete volume. If the volume is still used by container, you will run into error message. The third mount type, temporary mount. Do a testing. The type is a TMPFS, target/app, Nginx latest. Inspect my Nginx container. There's a mount type. Source should be empty because it's from the TMPFS. Docker didn't create a volume since the volume type is temporary. Stop the container. Thank you for watching. See you in next class.